Oh, and it's 11 o'clock on the dot. Perfect. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this virtual information session called Unleash Potential. Your next great hire is uniquely abled. Thank you for joining us. I'm Wendy Mackey, the Director of Workforce Development Strategy for MassMEP. As manufacturers navigate ongoing workforce shifts, it's crucial to recognize the immense potential that non-traditional workers bring to the workplace and to the culture of a company. We're excited that you're ready to explore innovative avenues in diversifying and strengthening your workforce. In a moment, our webinar MC, Mike Tomasi, will provide an overview of the session and introduce you to all of the speakers you'll hear from today. But before I pass it over to him, I'd like to go over a few logistics for the webinar session. First, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen to type in any questions you have during the webinar. We welcome all questions. More than likely, if you have the question, somebody else is probably thinking it as well. So we appreciate you documenting that. We will have dedicated time toward the end of the hour to answer these questions, and there'll be an opportunity for you to raise your hand and verbally ask live questions as well, if you prefer. If we're unable to respond to all of the questions during the webinar, we will be sure to send out the responses via the email that you provide during your registration. And if you have something specific you need to reach out to a panelist directly for, please use the chat option for that. Lastly, this webinar is being recorded, and we will share the webinar link, the slides from the presentation, and a brief post attendance survey via email in the next few days. Now, introducing the president and CEO of AccuRounds and the chairperson for the Uniquely Abled Employer Engagement Committee, Mike Tomasi. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you, MassMEP, for hosting today's webinar. Kevin, Haley, and everybody there. We really appreciate you teaming with our group. Just a little bit of a background about how we got to this point. I was approached back in the summer of 2019 by Mary McDonald, who had an autistic child and had just learned about a program launched in California called the Uniquely Abeled Project by Ivan Rosenberg, who ironically grew up right down the road from where AccuRounds exists in Easton, Massachusetts. And she was wondering if it was possible or would there be interest in getting a program going in Massachusetts. So we started a network, formed a group, and then 2020 hit and COVID stopped us dead in our tracks. We had a few false starts coming out of COVID, but thanks to a conversation that I had with Jay Ash, we decided to give it one last shot. So in the fall of 2022, we met at Bridgewater State University. Jay, myself, Vinny DiMacedo, John Cash, Stacy Kaminsky, and Paul Bello are kind of the core steering team that came out of that meeting, and we have continued to meet to this point. And the program has certainly evolved. What started as a thought and a wish is becoming a reality to the point where we can take uniquely abled individuals and have them be employed in an industry that is starving for talent. We have formed, out of the steering committee, we have formed several other committees. And as Wendy mentioned, I'm chairing the Employer Engagement Committee. We have 4 members of that team. Wendy from MassMEP. We have Matthew Berard on the call today from the Massachusetts Rehabilitation Commission. And one other individual, Megan Abella Bowen, who was unable to attend today's session, but she is on the staff at the Center for Advanced Manufacturing, run out of the MassTech Collaborative. And our role is to formulate training sessions, find interested employers, and get them engaged, interested, trained up, and learn how to best integrate these individuals as they come to graduation in May, and even prior to that, as you'll learn from John. In March, we hope to send some of our students out for some on-the-job training. So we started to meet in the fall of 22. We started to recruit for a cohort. And what was established, we are now calling UAA at Excel at BSU. UAA, Uniquely Abled Academy, at Excel, the Excel program, which is out of Bridgewater State University, works with unique individuals, putting them through a college curriculum. What's a little bit different maybe of a few other academies that have launched across the country from the Uniquely Abeled Project is we bolted this onto Excel to make it a very robust almost full calendar year, a full 12-month program, starting with our first cohort, as I mentioned, in July of 23. They're getting their technical training at South Shore Vocational Technical School, thanks to some career and technical initiative funds. And also the Sala Foundation will help fund our first cohort because the cost to the students is free. The Excel program at Bridgewater provides them with a lot of the soft skills and life skills training, and they get some of the college experience being part of this program. So we've extended what typically might be a 12 to 14-week program and made it kind of a school year. We're coming into the third semester, and shortly John will be talking about the program and some of the details of those programs. So our focus today, we really have, I would say, 4 takeaways that we hope people leave here from: the introduction of the program and the details that's going to be provided by John Cash. We're going to have an opportunity for Ben Asnes, one of the current students in the program, to say a few words. So you meet a student. We have an employer out of a program that was launched a few years ago in Pennsylvania, Greg Wasco from Star and Tool, that can give us an employer perspective. And ultimately, you'll learn through this webinar and follow-up sessions that we'll have that there's many resources to tap. I will say this is an inaugural cohort. We have done it kind of, meeting to meeting and planning. And I would say this, the team that I mentioned and many others that are involved with this effort are extremely committed and passionate about making this a success. But it's the first. So we're going to learn from Greg and others, but we may have missteps and learn. So we're always open to suggestions and ideas on how to best move this forward. Very excited to have registration of about 50 people. We have multiple employers on the call and even multiple people from employers. That's extremely exciting for me, being an employer. We have state agencies on the call. We have other interested organizations that work with uniquely abled individuals that want to learn more and hopefully increase the awareness and start to spread this across the state. So with that, let's kick off our program. I'm going to start with a very short video that comes right from the Uniquely Abled Project's website called The Future of CNC. Kevin? I don't know if the sound is on there. Not hearing any sound on that, Kevin. I'm not sure if that's something that you can adjust for us or not.
Sorry about that.
Hi,
Are you getting
I'm
any
Brett.
now?
I'd like to talk to you about the future of CNC. The future of CNC depends on finding the right people for the job. The Uniquely Abled Academy is preparing skilled workers who can keep your machines running.
Hi, I'm Arnold. I'm a graduate of the Uniquely Abled Academy in Santa Clarita, California. In a genius move, a UAA recognizes the amazing fit between CNC machine operator and people with autism like me. UAA graduates are trained, qualified, and ready to get the job done. We're ready to work for you.
I am the next generation of CNC operators. I'm trained, qualified, and ready to work.
Ready to put my abilities to work for you and be one of your best employees.
I'm a graduate of the Uniquely Abled Academy. I'm the ideal employee you've been hoping to find.
That's awesome, Kevin. Thank you very much. When we were presented with this opportunity, it's really exciting to see. And that video is a short clip to see how engaged these students are. And I think it's important now to move on to some of the particulars of the program and what's been happening since we launched our first cohort in July at South Shore Voc Tech and the Excel program at Bridgewater State. So I'd like to introduce the director of the Excel program at Bridgewater State University, John Cass. John.
Thank you. Thank you to Mike, and thank you to Wendy and Matthew and Greg and the rest of the guys on here. It's been kind of a whirlwind year for us. This was something brand new to our program. And the way it started was like Mike said, we had a meeting. People came and asked me if we thought this was possible. And I said, I think it is possible, and I think it's needed. And so we got some very like-minded people together. We knew that we already had a program for people with disabilities, for young people with disabilities to come and have a college experience. We knew that the college experience was invaluable for these students because they gain socially, they gain emotionally, they gain in so many other ways. But one of the biggest drawbacks we have is just a college experience program. There aren't a lot of concrete outcomes because a lot of our students don't earn a degree. So when this opportunity came along, we saw this as a guaranteed way of creating an outcome for students and then coupling all the social gains, all the emotional gains, and other gains that we decided that we could add to this experience. So as we started to craft this program, we like Mike said, we began the program in July with funds from South Shore Voc Tech that they were able to secure, and we had a small cohort start that program. We had 6 students come through that program, and that was just kind of it helped us kind of figure out the logistics of being able to get some people from our campus, which is in Bridgewater, all the way over to South Shore, which is in Hanover. It's not a long way, but that's a logistical thing we had to figure out. But also help to gauge the interest of students who were offered an opportunity to actually do this. And that was invaluable because out of the 6, one person decided that the program was not for him, but the other 5 were so excited and really enjoyed something that they had previously never been exposed to. And I think that's important because I want to come back to that point a little bit later in our talk. So to give you a background of what we do here in Excel, we bring students who are 18 to 22 plus. They could be anywhere from 18 to 30. There's really no age limit ending on what we have. And we give them the college experience. They can take college courses that they qualify to take. They could either take them for credit or they could take them for audit. We have educational coaches that go into the classroom with the students if they're not taking the course for credit. If they are taking the course for credit, we have the educational coaches don't go into the classroom, but they'll meet before class or after class and help the students get through the material. Then we also work extensively on career skills. So every other week, students will come in. We do resume writing, we do cover letter writing, we learn how to apply for jobs on Indeed. We work with our career services department here on campus, which is an invaluable tool because our students have access to our career services department at Bridgewater State for the rest of their life. So once they become a bear, that ensures that they're going to have access to that career services department. And so we start to teach career skills every other week. And then in the weeks that we don't teach career skills, we teach independent living skills, which means that one week they're getting career skills, the next week they're learning how to live, learning how to take care of themselves. We do a lot of health science curriculum. We do a lot of healthy relationship curriculum, but we also do practical things like learning how to do a budget, learning how to pay bills, learning how to live independently, how to find an apartment, things like that. So we also, through our program, have added a third component that we just started yesterday, and Ben said he started it yesterday. He said he's very sore, is we've added something we call Fit to Work. So a lot of our guys, of course, they're not used to doing, they're not used to the rigors that they're going to have to do in shift work. So in addition to the career, learning how to manage your career, learning how to manage your life, we're adding in how to manage your physical health, so that you could actually be a good employee and get through your shift on the job. So we know that those three components right there are invaluable to anybody, whether you're a person with a disability or not. Having those skills are gonna help make you a great employee no matter what. So we also have some other benefits. These students can take academic courses when those courses don't interfere with their vocational learning. So they can gain, they can become a more well-rounded citizen. We also have peer mentors. So the peer mentors are just regular college students that meet with our students once a week. They go to lunch, they offer advice, they help the students grow socially. They work on social competencies with the students so that when the student gets to the employer, not only are they technically trained, they're trained for their career, they're trained for independent living, they're physically fit to do the job. Socially, they are in a better position to keep the job that we get. And that's what I wanted to mention earlier, because we can train these students in technical skills. And that's what we do over at South Shore Votech. And South Shore Votech has been amazing in opening up they have a lot of very high-tech equipment that these students have learned on. So the technical skills part of it is probably the least complicated part. It's the most important for being able to do the job, but it's the least complicated part in being able to keep the job that they're trained for. So that's what I think is the greatest thing about our program, is that we're not just giving them the technical skills, which of course are invaluable for our employers, but we're giving them the skills to be well-rounded citizens so that they can keep the job that they are trained for. And making it a year-long program is like getting a year of college. There's no expectation that you have to pass college classes, which a lot of these students would struggle with and have all that extra pressure. And what they get is the great benefits that you get from college, the great benefits that you get from the technical training in a very relaxed environment when they're learning to be, right now they're learning to be CNC machinists. But I would also like to say that we have some students that are coming through the program. Not all students maybe would be CNC machinists, but they would be ready to do other jobs, support the CNC machinist, or other jobs within the manufacturing environment. So I just wanted to mention that too. So that's kind of our program in a nutshell. I can talk about it all day. If you give me a chance, I will. But I really want you to hear from one of our participants. This is Ben Anise. Ben is a very advanced participant. Ben likes to take discrete mathematics when he's not studying to be a CNC machinist. So Ben is a little bit advanced, but Ben is also pretty good about talking about our program. So this has been Anise behind me, and this is our graduate assistant, Chris Byron. He's been invaluable in helping pull the program together. But we're going to hear from Ben.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you all again. Anyway, yes, I'm still a little sore from yesterday from the workout program. Anyway.
You're a little nervous?
Yeah.
That's okay. It's all right. So start from the summer. What did you learn in the summer?
All right, during the summer, I was part of the small group of students. We learned about the lathes, about the mills, about the CNC machines. We did a lot of hands-on work. We worked on the mills, made little pigs for little tic-tac-toe boards, if I may start to catch.
Yep.
We made little things like these.
Yeah, there you go.
We measured them, we fitted them, and we round them. We used a lateral bandsaw, an industrial lateral bandsaw to cut the rods of metal, as well as 3-inch metal aluminum plates for the tic-tac-toe boards. we used brass and aluminum for the pegs. We started out with the brass, you use the hand bandsaw to cut them to the proper length. But before we did that, we marked them at the proper measurement. Then we put them into the lathe, and we sized the little notch, the little peg piece in the desired diameter.
So, tell them a little bit about how the college part and the technical part work together. Can you speak to that?
Right. Last semester, I took two advanced math courses. One was discrete mathematics, and the other was elements of calculus. The math I learned last semester really helped me develop new skills on how to work with measurements, adding and subtracting, and all that. With machine shop with blueprint reading as well as working with tools and measurement tools.
How many days a week do you go over to for the technical training?
Well, 2 days a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I head over to the Bowtech. We work on the machines. Yeah, we make all sorts of pieces and products. Currently, we're working on making a wobble engine.
And then we have also a class here on Wednesdays.
Yes, and on Wednesdays we have a class on blueprint reading with a friend of ours, Frank Sesto.
And well, yeah.
What do you think of, have you done any meetings this last year with your peer mentors? Can you tell us about that?
Well, meetings with my peer mentors. Let's see.
Can you tell us about a typical meeting?
With my peer men. Well, last year with my peer mentors, we talked about our interests, about what we liked, about our lives outside the school. It was relatively insightful, but between both of us.
And then in your career meetings, what kind of activities do you do when you meet with like Zach and the career team?
Well, in the career meetings last semester, in general, we worked on employability skills, interviewing skills, resume, and cover letter training, as well as going over Indeed, researching jobs.
Excellent. And then in the independent living, did you get to do the transportation exercises?
I did.
So can you tell us a little bit about what that entailed?
Right. For transportation exercises, I had to take a bus that goes around campus from one bus stop to another on campus. And last semester, I learned how to use the commuter rail by myself.
And so, Ben, I have one last question for you. If you weren't doing this program, what would you be doing this semester?
If anything, I would possibly take a geometry course.
Okay, so you would be doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. The reason I asked that last question, I think it's really important. Ben is a little bit different in the fact that he would probably be taking courses here. Most of the students, if you ask them that question, they look thoughtfully off into space and they say, I would probably be sitting at home playing video games. And now that, we've taken 9 of these young people, and we've trained them how to do a skill. Now, not all will go out and work in that skill, but they have learned a skill, and they're not just sitting at home playing video games. They're actually gaining so many the life skills that they'll be able to take away, even if they don't end up working in advanced manufacturing. So that's something else that we want to that we want to just introduce as an idea to people that a lot of what we're doing in this program, these students don't have a lot of other choices. Ben may have other choices just because of his natural gifts, but a lot of the people in our program would not have very many other things to choose from other than this program. That's why they're so excited about it. So, Mike, if unless you have some specific questions for me, that's kind of our spiel.
We actually have one question for Ben.
Oh, fantastic.
Ben, what do you like about manufacturing?
Well, all my life, I've just enjoyed working with my hands. You know, building with fidget toys, playing around with Transformers when I was a kid, and building Legos in my free time, as well as working with computers and phones last semester.
Excellent. And John, I believe one of the first tasks through the training was to go through an OSHA course, correct?
Yes, that's exactly right. Thank you, Mike. I'll be remiss if I did not mention that these students are going to leave out of this program having their OSHA certification, also having their Tooling U certification. So we work on Tuesdays from 11 to 2. I'm sorry, from 12 to 2 on certification training, which means that they do the OSHA. They do the OSHA first, then we do Tooling U. And you know, these guys, for some people, the Tooling U is challenging, but everybody gets through it. Others can just breeze right through it. But that's conveyed. So they'll not only come out having the technical skills, they also have some certifications to go along with these technical skills. And we're working on adding certifications, and would love some advice on what certifications we could add to future cohorts. If you have that, if you would like to share that with us.
That's fantastic. Thank you, John. Why don't we pull up our second video, another short video titled Working with Uniquely Abled Employees. And these are clips off the website, and there are full videos if you have further interest in viewing the entire videos, which maybe they're 8 or 10 minutes long, real time. Kevin?
The UAP is a nonprofit organization. We're an emerging partner in the CNC talent pipeline. Our Uniquely Abled Academy, or UAA, prepares young adults with autism for competitive employment by leveraging the excellent fit between their natural talents and CNC machining. Many people focus on autism as a disability and emphasize things that someone with the diagnosis can't do. The Uniquely Abled Project encourages us all to shift our focus from what someone can't do to an appreciation of their unique abilities, what they can do particularly well.
I will recommend using visual tools like diagrams or checklists to leverage your employee's visual strength. Visuals provide essential information. This helps UAA workers develop consistent, automatic job performance.
Every culture has its own social norms or informal rules for interacting with others. Every CNC shop also has its own unique culture and norms. A peer mentor can help new hires adjust and find their way. A new hire may be very relieved to have a peer mentor. This connection can help the new employee be more comfortable and productive on the job. A few small accommodations can help new hires become excellent workers and employees. These simple accommodations don't cost anything, and they're easy to do. The strategies can have a big impact on the success and productivity of UAA graduates.
Josh is one of my best workers, and we all love having him as part of our team. Because accommodations like these are effective and successful, it's in my own interest as a manager to use them. These ideas may seem simple, but they make a big difference to us both. There's really no cost involved, and the increase in productivity makes it well worth it.
We hope that the information and strategies we've presented help you feel more prepared to supervise your UAA new hires or any uniquely abled individuals at your company. We hope you'll find it rewarding to help them realize their true potential.
Excellent. Thanks, Kevin. I think in watching that short clip, what really hits home for me is how a lot of these students on the spectrum, at this point on their spectrum, are really engaged and focused, and in some cases are as good or better than some of the current people that we employ. And that's why the fit and the interest was so high when we first learned about this potential. So with that, let's get into some of the details from an individual who's quite passionate about the Uniquely Abeled Project and has done tremendous work in the state of Pennsylvania. Greg Wasco from Star and Tool. Greg.
Okay, I think I'm off mute. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, everybody. I guess full disclaimer, I'm just an old tool maker, so as far as being articulate and as polished as the former people, I'm not so sure about that, but that's the one thing. Hopefully my passion will overcome that. First and foremost, it's just awesome what you guys are doing, and it's very, very impressive because the beauty of the UAA and Ivan's program is you can cater to as small or as big and robust as you want to or need to. And yours is obviously very, very robust and impressive, and it's fantastic. So when I talk about my comments, when we started, we're in just a little corner of northwestern PA. And one of our challenges was at that time, I think there were only 4 or 5 UAAs, but they're all urban. And we're in a very rural area. So we weren't sure, right? And one thing that I think John and y'all can attest to when we brought it to the challenges, one of the things that just blew me away was just the support, the community support, the social service support, even the government support, and all that, that came together. So we're able to make it happen. A couple cohorts, and I'll show you. Do we have those slides we could bring up? And so we have one that, and I'll describe it, that is not as robust as yours, and another one that is at a community college in Erie. We have 8 counties, and so the plan is to take these to the rural counties, the other 6 counties. We're in 2 now, and bring the UAA to the rural communities. So a little bit different, but that's again the beauty of the program and the model. So that's our one of our instructors. I'm going to be speaking about Aaron Tomchek. He's the one that's been with us for quite a while now. I'll speak to him. We can go to the next slide. I know our audience is very diverse, and we have everything from the diversity of them. So I think I just want to start with this word CNC machines. Okay, they're used to manufacture metal and plastic parts for all kinds of products. And so one of our greatest challenges in manufacturing companies today is finding these CNC operators. The manufacturers that have joined us, that we need that finding the right people has become more difficult. So, we need to look at new places to find new talent. So, what are manufacturers looking for? We're looking for employees with some entry-level basic skills in measurement and blueprint reading and machining experience, ideally. But really, we're also looking for employees with a positive attitude and a good work ethic. Most of us, if not all of us, have a training program in place. And that really came, if I can back up a little bit, this employee shortage hit manufacturing long before I think it hit a lot of other industries. You manufacturers felt it way back when, that silver tsunami. We all talk about the aging population and that pyramid, the lack of the youth coming into the workforce. We were really, really competing, but it started with us a lot sooner because manufacturing was depressed 10, 15 years ago, and companies started reshoring for other reasons to get things more locally. Lead times, there's a lot of lead time pressure, and you manufacturers, remember this problem before the pandemic, and then after the pandemic, it just exasperated it, to the point where, the pipelines could not keep up. Our tech centers, the pipelines, even where we're doing strong academic outreach going into the schools. And so we really had to look to other demographics. So, where did we look? We looked for women, which was a success. I mean, for us, we started 10, 15 years ago, reaching out to women in the schools, and we've graduated several women apprentices that have gone on to do some fantastic things. And we have one that got into management before we knew it. She was our CFO. And here last year, she bought into the company and she's a partner and she's 28 years old, so that was great. But the other places where we had to develop programs and we didn't have them, formerly incarcerated people, underprivileged people, ex-military, right? And lo and behold, we're out there looking for these programs, trying to establish them, and this UAA pops up. Right? So what a gift with a bow on it. I mean, it's it wasn't even on our radar. And you get nothing else out of this. What comes out of the UAA, basically the individuals that are coming out of UAA, like Ben, and you can see the other examples. This is my toolmaker stuff coming out. This isn't like a charity thing. This is a win-win. This is a win-win for everybody. When the light bulb comes on, now I'm speaking to you manufacturers, when this light bulb comes on, I mean, it was a revolution to me personally to learn level 1 autism. That doesn't mean these people are mentally challenged or have any limitations whatsoever. Quite frankly, it's the opposite. And when that light bulb comes on, you'll be fighting for these employees like we fight for them here in Northwestern VA. They're 100% placement. I encourage you to go and meet them, okay, and talk to them and see which ones fit your culture and which ones fit the style of work you're doing, and get ahead of it, because if you don't, somebody else is. And when they're graduating, they're going to be going. And it's great. It's a win-win for the individuals. It's a win-win for manufacturing. It's a win-win for the community, for the social services to tap into their knowledge. The government's finally behind manufacturing, constantly asking us what they can do. It's fantastic. So it really pulls together. So I'll just say something about the individuals that come out of the UAA. When they come out, they're gaining some basic skills. And in our case, we don't have that robust in the rural area. They go for 16 weeks and they come out, and setting the expectations of the employers is very, very important. These folks are not going to come out and jump in just like anybody else that would go through a program like that. They're not going to jump out and run out there and start programming and run a machinery. It's up to the employers to take what they've learned, take the soft skills. They're no different than any other guy, the foreman that we're talking to and the guys that are running the floor, no different than any other employee. Everybody, we all have our quirks. We all have, like, you don't talk to Joe before he's had his second cup of coffee. All the individual things, it's no different. And I'll tell you, the individuals coming out, they get basic skills, but they all also have natural attributes. And I can attest to this, including being focused, driven, detail-oriented, high IQ, dependable, loyal, and I'll reinforce that word loyal. And they want to have a career, and they want to be successful. I mean, there's a desire. I mean, these are the employees that we're looking for. And they're not only just great for CNC, but they're also great for other things that dovetail well, like inspection and other things. So I want to end, and I certainly would answer any questions, but I want to end with a testimony. We have 3 buildings. We actually have 5 companies. One of them is called Meckel by Storm, and you saw Aaron. I call him Aaron, but as far as getting along in the culture, and Ben, I'm excited for you. You're really going to enjoy it when you get in and get involved and start working with teams. You're going to really enjoy your career, because the whole entire company and the whole entire floor, they dovetail with the culture, and they're very near and dear to the employees, if you ask any employee out there. So they've been great. So I'm just going to end by reading a testimonial. And this guy that runs our building downtown, I guess he's a tough case. His expectations are high. He's pretty strict. He's pretty stern, and almost to the point of fault. Sometimes I got to rein him in. But coming for him to say this about Aaron after 6 months, really hit home with me. So here's what Zach Tinkham said. He's our operations manager down at that building, and Aaron did get into inspection. Okay, he is our inspector down there. So he went through the CNC program, but I'm telling you, one of the best inspectors I've ever seen. So here's what Zach says. The UAA has brought one of the hardest working, and most detail-oriented employees that we have. He continues to grow every day and is willing to learn and perform any task that is asked. Eccleby Soren is proud to have this young gentleman on our team and excited to see what the future holds. So I'll stop there. I hope you manufacturers that paradigm shift to this being some kind of charity, or you got somebody with special needs. Quite the opposite. I mean, these are the employees that we're looking for. Our next cohort, they're already spoken for as well. I'd encourage you to get out there and get them before they graduate. And I'll just stop there. Thank you.
That's great, Greg. I don't know if there's another slide or two that you wanted to scroll through here.
Yeah, just if you could, that'd be great. That next slide, I just went over that. I should have had you go a little bit more. CNC, by the way, for those folks that aren't in the industry, is computer numerically controlled. Okay, and that's what we do to manufacture all kinds of parts. So these students can, do anything from just change parts to actually doing setups, and there's some that even go on to do programming, and that's really where kind of the big bucks are. Sky's the limit, man. I mean, you get in there and figure out what fits you, okay, and find the right employer. I remember asking Ivan Rosenberg, early before we started anything, how long does it take for placement? He goes, oh, sometimes 3 or 4 weeks. And I was like, oh, 3 or 4 weeks. He goes, yeah, that's because they have 4 or 5 choices, and they go out and they interview the employer to decide where they want to go. So that's about the day I drank the Kool-Aid. I was like, okay, there's something here. So same journey as you guys. There isn't that the UAA booklet, right? But that's the beauty of it. You can make it your own. We went through the same challenges, and we've amended it 3 or 4 times. The one up at Erie Community College is accredited. It's completely different than the other model. But that's the beauty of the whole thing, is to get that demographic, get those folks that we sorely need, get them in the pipeline, and get them in our companies. So the last slide, was the first cohort, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and they did a really nice video and whatnot, and it's I just thought I'd throw that up there. Those are the folks here at the Crocker County Tech. We're going to Mercer Tech next, and we have the Erie Community College that's in full swing. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been super exciting and just awesome to watch.
Love the passion, Greg. We actually have a few questions for you.
All right.
We'll just go down the list here. How have other workers reacted to working with the UAA workers?
Yeah, I know that it seems to be like a big concern, and I actually had an experience and didn't even know it. Okay, I go up to our tech center every year before the UAA ever happened, and I go and I'm looking for the top 2 students that they have. Okay, and so does every other person. I go up there and try to recruit, and I remember going one year and saying, hey, what's your 2 top students? And they kept saying, well, you need to talk to Haley. Haley's over here. You need to talk to, and so I brought Haley, and she was over running the CMC, and I did it as a favor to the instructors, thinking that charity case. I could tell there was something a little bit different about Haley. But we brought her in, and what a rock star. And everybody absolutely loved her. Didn't even know she had autism. Okay. And once I learned about autism, I ran into her later on, and she said, yeah, I'm level 1 on the spectrum. And it just reinforced everything. They were so sad to see her leave. She went for another $2 an hour and became a grind hand. Which good for Haley, right? You can't keep them all, but that was my first experience. And Aaron, just beloved. They're great team members. They dovetail, and I said that earlier. They dovetail in the culture so well. You think that the guys on the floor are helping them. Well, it goes both ways. They learn things from Aaron too, and Haley for sure. She was very, over time, became more proactive and opened up. Aaron's opening up more and more and more. And it's not the burden that you would think. It just is not. There's no, I haven't heard or seen any issues, and I've talked to all the other companies, and they have very, very similar testimonials and experiences. They're all still working in the places other than, Haley didn't go through the program, but all the first graduates are still with the companies that took them on. So I haven't heard any issues whatsoever. So I hope I answered that question.
Yes, no, that's great. And as a reminder, if you have a question, please plop it into the Q&A chat. Next question for you, Greg. How would you compare sick time or other time away from work? Do you find the UAA worker showing up and as dependable as your current workforce? Any difference there from an attendance standpoint?
But it is laughable for me. I chuckle because I can't get Aaron to take off. I mean, it's quite the opposite. They are there early and dependable. He pulled me aside and he wanted to talk about, I don't know, does anybody know when the solar eclipse is? I mean, talk about wanting to know everything in detail. He wanted to know if everybody in the company down there could take off that day so they could go see the solar eclipse. And it's on his radar. It's the first day we've been able to get him to take off. He ended up at the end of the year with all his vacation. So I had to scold him because I'm going to have to pay him for it. And I'll do that with any employee. I do not like that. That's time off to refresh. No, the opposite. They are on a mission, man. They want to come to work.
That's awesome. Is there anything you need to learn or do differently as an employer to ensure the success of the UAA employee and the successful completion of the tasks you need completed?
Yeah, sure. It's of course. I feel like a good manager, a good foreman would do it intuitively. Like I said, every employee has problems, and issues in different ways. Some learn better reading, some learn, we all know this, right? It's just a different accommodation that once and you can't, I went there and I said, hey, sometime you're soon, I'll give you an example. Sometime you're soon, I want to get you up to the big show up on the hill where, you can go up there and just spend a little time and with the guys up there and here in the next couple of weeks. Well, you can't do that because I walked away and as I came by his bench again, he said, hey, what day, what time? They're very detail oriented and they want to know. So just little things like that, which, that the younger generation's that way anyhow, right? They want to know their path. They want to know the light at the end of the tunnel every day, every week, So not really. And plus the fact that if there are issues, they get soft skill training. I don't even like calling it soft skill. I like calling it professional skills. I hate that word, soft skills. Professional skills, right? They get that and they get exposed and they go into and there is help from the social services coaches for them. And if they have to come to the shop, if somebody's struggling, they will. So far, we haven't had to exercise that at all. Like I say, it's intuitive. I'm sure everybody's got good form and good management. As long as the management understands and everybody's on the same page with the employee, there haven't been any issues at all. It just, they learn at their pace and sometimes it's faster than normal, sometimes a little slower, but it's, again, I go back, it's no different than any other employee. They all have different ways of learning and different speeds and different needs and, it's just part of the deal. And it hasn't been an issue.
Have you had to place any limitations on the number of uniquely abled hires?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's two coming out, and I asked Zach, and if he goes, give me another year, I'm gonna take one. So we're gonna put him over at this other building because we actually have a need. But I figured I'd offer it to Zach first because he had such success, and he was asking me, and that position he couldn't wait, and he filled it where he's gonna put him. So yeah. I could see that, just depending on what type of work you're doing. I mean, we are very heavy in military and aerospace. So, but a company, like we have a company, 600 employee company out at Acutech where, there's operators, changing parts and things like that. I don't think there would be any limitation whatsoever. It's just going to depend on what company, what style of work, and what job task you're talking about, you know? Just like with any other, but you can only have so many trainings, right? I mean, you gotta have them. You have to invest in them. We always say you need, you know, more people than what you need to get the job done, or you're not training, because it takes away from the trainees, right? So I wouldn't say it's any different than just trainees, period. You know, what are they for? What's it going to take away from, you know, and what job title? So in a situation of operator or even inspectors, I don't think there would be much limitation at all. But if you're talking about getting them to a level of setup and programming and things like that, yeah, just like any other training, you can only have so many in the pipeline. But I wouldn't attribute it to their autism at all. I mean, I've drank the Kool-Aid that much that no, not really.
Thank you, Greg. That's fantastic. Just to read a quick comment. Someone was wondering if if this is going to be recorded. It is being recorded, and I believe we will be sharing the link with all the attendees. And feel free to share that with anybody that you might find would benefit from learning more about this program. And this particular individual, Peter Belazos, owns Bend and Gear, has had two autistic people, not from a program, work for him in the past. He made the comment that they're smart and loyal, and it is true. You got to make some accommodations, but it's very worth it, and for the effort from the company and the person's perspective. I have another question here, and maybe Matt Barrard can comment, because it's regarding transportation. So I know transportation is always a concern. Are there resources for transportation to a work site that is in a remote location without good access to public transportation?
Yeah, that's been a challenge. And, you know, so far, one or two things, you know, give somebody's, you know, number one on the spectrum. You know, I have a nephew that drives to work every day. He went down to Rosedale Tech in Pittsburgh and got into automotive. So he's an employed and he can drive. Well, most of them can. If they can't, they always have a support system of parents. So far, we've been really lucky that way. We talked about, if it became a hurdle, doing something with funds with Uber, you know, getting it funded some way, somehow with the local taxis. We haven't had to address that wall yet. But sure, that I could see that could become a challenge in other rural locations. You know, a few of them, the only reason why they don't drive is because, let's face it, the jobs that they had were minimum wage. You know, now they're making double, you know, and have a chance to make triple what they were making, and actually, you know, be able to get a car and pay for insurance and all that. So there's variations. There's even within level one, there you know, there's different variations, but hasn't been a problem yet. But I could see it. You know,
yeah, we've talked within our group about transportation, and there is potential funding for that. And maybe Matt,
yes,
coming from the MRC, not particular to this program, but for individuals that are uniquely able, I'm sure you've had the transportation discussion and had some
sure.
different solutions. Matt, you want to make a comment?
Yeah, sure, Mike. Thank you, everyone. This is Matt Barrard speaking. Yeah, there are a lot of different programs out there, state, local, community programs that can assist with transportation, depending, again, service time. All right. Sometimes some programs will be able to do it for the first 3 months until they get things in place. But it's just like everything else too. Is also, once these candidates or staff members get on your staff, they start making friends, and they start carpooling together. But there's a lot of different programs, again, at the state and local level, whether it's for people on the spectrum or neurodiverse population, or just individuals with disability, that your state and local governments will be able to assist for different periods of time. But there are options out there to assist in getting people to work.
Thanks, Matt. We have about 5 minutes left. I have one more question for Greg. Give us a quick answer on this one, and then we'll go into wraps unless there are an additional question that comes through. But We mentioned CNC, but other opportunities, and obviously advanced finishing deburring is another potential. This Peter was wondering if you have any experience with that, something that requires constant observation and judgment.
No, but it's definitely on my radar. One of the companies we have is in the crimping industry. Those of you understand wire harnesses and crimping, so crimp plates, anvils, there's a polish, even some of the molders, maybe manufactured, you need polish for molding and all that. So that polish certainly is on the radar. Actually, Zach thinks that one of the guys that used to love it, he said, I love doing this. We're pretty sure he was autistic. He moved on to other things, but and not the UAA program. This is 2-3 years ago. But I mean, somebody told me they love sitting there in a microscope, polishing fine polish all day long. Yeah, attention to detail and tenacity, and so there's obviously there's your mind starts working now, right? So what about level 2 autism, plastics parts sorters, and those type of industries, you can really start thinking of all the stuff. So I wouldn't put any limitations on it at all. But the fact of the matter is that exposure to manufacturing and to the math and the professional skills and all that sets them up perfectly. That's why I say go meet them, try to identify things in your company, sure, polish, deburring for sure. We have a department out there, we call it assembly department, lots of deburring and polish. So yeah, that's definitely on my radar. Of course, yeah, good observation, because it's like I said, just those attributes that I listed. I mean, those are real. I'm not just blowing smoke here. I mean, it's everyone that I've met and everyone that's out there, and the employers, and somebody joined in and had some experience, and I think attested to that word loyal, man, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. All right, we got a couple minutes left. Next steps for us, we mark your calendars. Hopefully everybody is all excited and interested, because we are going to have a training session for interested employers on February 27th at 11 o'clock, hosted by Matt Berard and the MRC. That will give us some insights on how, the do's and don'ts of integrating uniquely abled individuals. And then we'll follow up come March with potential on-the-job opportunities, and then hires in May. I do want to mention that we are already recruiting for our second cohort. Our hope is that we can have this annual cycle every July to May, that we're going cohort after cohort. And if things work as hoped, we will replicate this across the state. And, we have 9 individuals, right, John, in the program right now, I believe. So, we're not talking about pumping out 50 or 100 people a year. It's going to be a select few. And as Greg mentioned, we might be kind of having a few battles trying to grab a hire once a year when this opportunity comes up. So, I hope that everybody is a little more educated on UAA at Excel at BSU. I do want to acknowledge one last time Jay Ash for taking the lead with me. He's the prior Secretary of Housing and Economic Development in our state, the current president and CEO of the Mass Competitive Partnership. Vinny DiMacedo, a prior state senator who is works with President Clark at Bridgewater State University. John Cash, of course, at the Excel program. Stacy Kaminsky, who heads the Connect Partnership in Southeastern Mass and runs the Southeastern STEM Network here in our state. And Paul Bello, for really latching on and making the offer to host the training and looking for funding and being all in. I mean, it's been tremendously inspiring for me and for people that know me. I'm involved in a lot of different areas, but this to me is far and away the most exciting and rewarding. And I want to again thank MassMEP and pass it back to Wendy Mackey to close. Thank you for your partnership and your hosting today's webinar. Wendy?
Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for your speaking amazing information. Thank you, Greg, for sharing all of your expertise and your experience. John and the team and amazing. You just did a really great job. And Matt, of course. So thank you all. Mike Tomasi, goes without saying, right? Thank you all from MassMEP, from our team here that you see. We will get you your webinar link, and a survey next week in your email that you registered with. And thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us directly. MassMEP, AccuRounds, Mass Rehab, Bridgewater Excel program. All right, thank you.
And Ivan, who was on the call, thank you for starting all this. We really appreciate it.
Yes.